Over the last year, there's been a rising tension in the PC gaming marketplace. Begun, the Storefront wars have. In this video, I intend to present my perspective to both PC players, be they biased to a particular platform or not, as well as to console players who don't understand why us PC gamers can get so pissed off about this stuff. The truth is, the issue is both more simple and more complicated than you probably think, so without further ado. Due to the meteoric rise of Fortnite, Epic Games decided to make a big push into the digital distribution of PC games with their own storefront called the Epic Games Store. The first time I became aware of the Epic Store was during the 2018 Game Awards, when Supergiant's isometric roguelike Hades was announced. Epic Store was promoting the fact that it gave a larger percentage of revenue to game companies, 88-12 versus the standard 70-30 of other game companies. Which sounded nice. I was a big fan of Supergiant's Bastion, and Hades looked incredible, so I downloaded the Epic launcher, bought the game immediately, and started to download Hades. I continued to watch the Game Awards and noticed that Hades was still listed as queued on my laptop 20 minutes later. So I opened up the Downloads tab and found that with no prompt and no warning, the Epic Games Store had decided to start installing Fortnite on my computer. This was the first red flag I had. I really don't like it when something starts installing on my computer without asking me, but at the time I really didn't think too much of it, so I deleted Fortnite because I'm a grown man and carried on with my day. About a month later, Epic did something unforgivable and something they have done several times since. On January 28, 2019, they announced that Metro Exodus would be sold exclusively on the Epic Games Store for a period of 1 year. I had already pre-ordered Metro Exodus on Steam, given Steam my $80 Canadian, and for all I knew at the time, Epic had just paid to delay my copy of Metro Exodus by a full year. Luckily, Valve responded to the fan backlash and arranged that all already placed pre-orders, including my own, would be honored on the slated February 15, 2019 release date, which had been advertised for the better part of a year on Steam at that point. This doesn't change the fact that effectively Epic was paying to limit consumer choice. They did try to spin it as a positive by offering the game for $10 cheaper than it would have been on Steam, but only in the United States. Epic did not have regional pricing the way other PC storefronts do, so this effectively made the game super expensive in regions like South America and Asia. If regional pricing were the only feature the Epic Games Store lacked, it wouldn't be a problem for any Americans, but this brings me to the reason why Epic exclusivity deals force the gamers, the customer, you, me, us, into an inferior user experience while also limiting our freedom of choice. The lacking feature set. At the dawn of the Epic exclusivity era, the feature differential between EGS and its primary competitor Steam was gigantic. Basic features like the ability to play the games you bought offline without an internet connection, cloud saves, and playtime tracking were missing from Epic at this time, although in fairness they have been implemented over the course of 2019. However, the features which are lacking on Epic to this day are numerous. Least of all, something as basic as a shopping cart, so if Epic is having a big sale, you will have to make separate transactions for every game you want. The Geeks and Gamers merch store has a shopping cart. Achievements have been a metagame staple of nearly every platform since the Xbox 360, and to this day, there is no platform-level achievement system on the Epic Store. This is a feature that may not matter at all to some, but to others, achievement hunting can create a deeper connection between a player and one of their favorite games, as well as adding value to a game's purchase price by adding goals outside of finish campaign, move on to next product. The most egregious lacking feature is probably the most relatable to members of the Fandom Menace, and that is user reviews. While I suppose I kind of exist in the interstice between a gamer and a gaming journalist, I do believe that gamers should be given the tools necessary to both warn each other about bad games and inform each other about good games. Epic believes that job is up to the professional games critics and that the fans can't be trusted with sharing opinions which can affect sales. This is also why you'll often see mainstream gaming journalists going to bat for the Epic Store. Some of them believe to be in a privileged class of people who should be the arbiters of what you can and cannot play, and the lack of user reviews on the Epic Store reinforces this mentality. They also try to sell it as the selection of games being curated at Epic, meaning they decide if a game is good enough for you or not. Steam trash is a term you'll often hear from people who think that Steam is flooded with bad games, but the user review system helps us inform each other of a game's quality, be it good or bad, from the perspective of people who don't stand to profit from making you think a game is good. Hopefully you now see why Epic securing exclusivity deals is a bit more of a nuanced problem than who cares, the Epic launcher is free. In buying a game from the Epic Store, you're foregoing valuable features, but the more insidious aspect of it is that Epic is competing by limiting consumer choice. An exclusivity deal forces you to patronize the Epic Store if you want to play that particular game, which doesn't foster any kind of positive competition. It eliminates it. Exclusivity means that Steam and Epic will not be competing by offering better prices on games or adding features to make the experience better for the end user. They'll simply compete by making it impossible for you to buy a specific product at another store. I have no problem with Epic making Fortnite exclusive to the Epic Store because that's a game that they developed from the ground up. It would not exist without them creating it, so declining to offer it on other platforms is totally reasonable. But throwing money at a third-party developer in order to bribe them into giving the customer fewer choices is some creamy sheave tier evil shit.
Good.
Luckily, it's not all doom and gloom in the PC gaming marketplace, because Steam does have competition from a company that not only cares about players, but treats us with more respect than any other company in the industry.
We believe gamers deserve a better experience, so we'd like to introduce you to GOG Galaxy, our vision for truly gamer-friendly, DRM-free online gaming and services.
Polish company CD Projekt Group, home of Witcher and Cyberpunk developer CD Projekt Red, has its own PC gaming storefront, Good Old Games, otherwise known as GOG or GOG. And they're really good. Old games. GOG originally began as CD Projekt's initiative to compete with software piracy, as after the fall of the USSR, the Polish market was totally overrun with illegal copies of games. CD Projekt went out of their way to localize games into Polish, as well as to add value to their box products by adding in things like mousepads and artwork, incentivizing you to buy a box product of a game instead of pirating it. Through GOG, CD Projekt continues to do this today, only now they're adding value to digital products by removing the most anti-consumer feature that came with the transition to the digital marketplace: digital rights management. Digital rights management, or DRM, is the online system of handshaking with the storefront's server periodically in order to confirm that you actually own a product that you paid for. Nearly every digital storefront has DRM, even outside of the PC gaming marketplace. Every console storefront has DRM, and even music and movie stores like iTunes and the Google Play Store have DRM. GOG, however, does not. When you buy a game on GOG, you're effectively buying a cracked copy of the game, but it's a legal cracked copy, which is an important distinction. Your GOG games have all the flexibility of a pirated copy of a game. You can copy it onto 1,000 different storage mediums to protect your purchase, or if you want to commit an ethical breach, you can even make copies of the games and give them out to your friends. CD Projekt hopes that because GOG trusts their players as much as they do, that the majority of them will act ethically and not spread their purchases around, but rather encourage other players to patronize GOG over other storefronts. This is why, if you've been following my content for a while, you'll probably have heard me bring up GOG numerous times, and that's because I consider myself a consumer advocate, and I feel that it's my responsibility to inform those who will listen to me of their options, and let them know which companies will treat them better than others. I like Steam and Valve quite a lot. For the most part, they are great, but GOG is the best store to be supporting if you want to reinforce consumer-friendly business practices. Recently, GOG even announced that their return policy is about to become consumer-friendly to the point of arguable insanity. Now when you buy a game on GOG, you have 30 days to return it for a full refund, regardless of how many hours you've played. Considering you can make copies of the games you own on GOG and there's nothing really forcing you to delete the data, there is nothing stopping you from requesting a refund, getting all your money back, but continuing to have that game installed on your computer and playing it offline forever. The mad lads at CD Projekt are out of their minds in the best possible way. CD Projekt has basically stated that they're going with the honor system on this, so if they suspect you've been abusing the return policy, they do reserve the right to decline your refund. However, the fact that the option's on the table at all is incredible. As far as exclusivity goes, CD Projekt makes even their own games available on other platforms, so if you want to play The Witcher or Cyberpunk but you only like using Steam, congratulations, you can buy either of those games on Steam, no problem.
The problem is like why nobody is thinking like what's in it for the gamer. Like how can we, you build a platform, that's really great, you have an exclusive there, that's cool, but why should the user use this platform? Like what is better about this platform than is better than Steam offers? And sadly, I think this part is being very heavily ignored. The approach right now is we just have exclusives, you have to use our platform and that's it. It's kind of sad.
I hope I've done a good job explaining why I dislike Epic and love GOG, but I really want to make it clear that you're not required to be passionate about the same industry issues that I am. The Geeks and Gamers community welcomes all, so even if you think the Epic Store is the greatest thing to ever happen to gaming and GOG is nothing but Eastern European trash, I hope you'll join me in the comment section and let me know why. For Gaming with Geeks, I'm MarcTheCyborg, and you seem like the kind of upstanding citizen who will fight for the rights of your fellow consumer.